he walked away from modern America and never looked back. And for over 50 years, the mountain was the only thing that could tame him. Prepare yourself for the incredible, true story of Homer Davenport. Our story begins in 1821 in Scotland, where an ambitious man named Davenport and his new wife sold all their earthly possessions to purchase a one-way ticket to sail across the great waters to America. The dangerous voyage would take almost 10 weeks, and when Isam finally landed on American soil, he traveled inward until the coastlands finally rose upward towards the heavens in an endless sea of lofty ridges known as the Appalachian Mountains. It was here that Isam would build a new life in Smith County, Virginia. The aspiring mountain man arrived in the new world with little more than determination and willingness to work harder than the next man. But make no mistake about it, Isam was up to the challenge. Following the old animal trails, he made his way up the steep ridges of Clinch Mountain, higher and higher where no white man had dared to venture. And there, on the banks of Big Tumbling Creek, Isam and his wife built a small cabin where they would bring a passel of young'uns into this wilderness. The family quickly found out that the mountains didn't hand out opportunity willingly. The first years were nothing but back-breaking labor. The forest had to be broken before it would feed them. Massive hardwoods were felled and burned, and stones had to be cleared by hand from the fields. But the soil, once it was exposed to the sun, was turned with mule and plow until it would finally accept seed. But month after month, and then year after year, Isam rose before first light and didn't quit until the ridges turned black against the evening sky. He continued to build his kingdom, clearing land and planting cash crops of tobacco and corn, all the while saving all the money that he earned from these crops. While all the other men bought comfort from their crops, Isam bought land. Little by little, he began acquiring vast amounts of land. When neighbors fell on hard times and sold off parcels along the ridges, it was Isam who purchased them. And when families found the mountain life too harsh and moved westward, he acquired their claims. Each time an opportunity presented itself, he was ready. And by the end of his life, he owned over 3,000 acres of Clinch Mountain. And when he died, Isam Davenport left a tremendous legacy for his children that included a vast amount of wealth and land. Yet, like so many other times in history, the children, they weren't good stewards of their inheritance, and soon they began selling off the land, with each ensuing generation left with less. And by the time Isam Davenport's great-grandchildren were born, his fortune had evaporated, and all the Davenports were now born with was a guaranteed life of poverty. Enter into this story Isam's great-great-grandson, Homer Davenport. Homer was born in 1910 on the very same mountain that his grandfather had once owned. Only now, Homer's mother was eking out a humble existence, barely able to scratch up enough money to pay rent for the small house that she was raising Homer in. And unfortunately for the poor mountain boy, things wouldn't get any better, because by the time he was 6, his mama died. And because most folks couldn't afford to take on another mouth to feed, Homer went to live with his grandmother, who still lived on a dirt floor, one-room cabin in the middle of the wilderness. And truth is, the old woman had little use for Homer. In fact, she saw him as a burden. Her only source of income was a $2 a month pension that she received from the government for her husband's service during the Civil War. And the last thing she needed was the responsibility of feeding and clothing this boy. And there, Homer would grow up, and his grandmother was a strict believer in the Bible, and she never spared the rod when it came to correcting the boy. She worked him like a mule from sunup to sundown, 6 days a week, only allowing him rest on Sundays for church, and she would beat him if he dared to cut a single stick of firewood on the Sabbath day. But church was the one thing that Homer actually enjoyed. It was there that he learned how to read the Bible in his Sunday school class, and church allowed him to do something else, and that was flirt with girls. And that flirting often led to fistfights with jealous boys just outside the church doors as soon as all that preaching was done. And for a while, this combination would be the downfall of Homer. You see, while church had taught Homer how to read, it would be prison that taught him how to write. And that's because as a teen, Homer grew into a striking young man, and soon the ladies loved him as much as he loved them, and frequently he found himself involved in love triangles that led to vicious brawls. The worst one came when he was just 19 years old, when a jealous husband pulled a gun and shot Homer in the stomach. And in return, Homer pulled his pistol and shot the angry husband dead. And that right there earned Homer 18 months in the Virginia State Penitentiary. And for a boy that had been raised wild and free on Clinch Mountain, prison was a different kind of wilderness. There were no ridges to climb and no creeks to follow. Suddenly, Homer was surrounded by thick stone walls and iron bars. Homer had been poor, and he'd even been beaten and shot, but he had never been confined. And it was there, caged like an animal, that something snapped inside Homer Davenport. He began to completely withdraw and absolutely hated being around other people. It was there that he made a promise to himself. If he ever walked free again, he would never let another man cage him again. Homer Davenport was now at a crossroads in his life. Born wild and free, but now in a 6x8 prison cell. Fate was about to come knocking, and Homer would claim his destiny in a life that would make him one of the most legendary mountain men in American history.
Hey guys, JD Phillips here from the Appalachian Storyteller. Today's video is sponsored by tnnursery.net.
Family owned and operated in the heart of Appalachia, TN Nursery ships beautiful plants and trees all across America. Perennials, ferns, vines, trees, and much, much more. Click the link in the description to shop America's favorite garden shop for quality landscaping trees and plants. Get 15% off of your order by using promo code Storyteller at checkout.
Give someone you love the gift of old-fashioned storytelling. 5 books for the young and old alike that will make your heart smile. Click the link below to order your copy of the Appalachian Storyteller today.
When Homer Davenport was released from prison in 1931, he was a changed man. The reckless mountain boy who had once fought over pride in women had been hardened, and one thing was clear: he had no use for this modern world. Indeed, by 1931, this new America never resembled anything his great-great-grandfather had entered into. The country itself was in the grip of the Great Depression, where banks were failing and farms were collapsing. Homer looked around and saw all the men standing in bread lines, with coal towns all across Appalachia closing their doors. Homer saw men chasing wages they never seemed to be able to keep, and neighbors who were drowning in debt. Worst of all, he saw these men trading their God-given independence for a paycheck that was controlled by another man. And after spending 18 months being told when to wake, when to eat, when to work, and when to sleep, Homer Davenport decided he would never again live at another man's command. The mountain had raised him wild, and prison had only reminded him how much he valued that freedom. Just like that, Homer disappeared from society. While his great-great-grandfather had once built an empire on Clinch Mountain, Homer decided to claim his independence on top of Redrock Mountain. It was steep and remote, with a spine of stone and timber that most men avoided entirely. There wasn't a single road within 10 miles, no power lines, and no neighbors. The terrain was so unforgiving that even seasoned hunters thought twice before venturing too far into its depths. This land belonged to the wild. Black bears roamed its ridges. Panthers slipped silently through the laurel thickets, while wolves howled across its hollows at night. In winter, the wind cut like a blade, with temperatures dropping to 50 degrees below freezing. It was there, high up along a sheer rock face, that Homer found what every mountain man searches for: water. A crystal clear spring that bubbled cold and steady between two stones. And beside that spring, Homer Davenport carved out his place in this world. He built a small 3-walled shanty into the side of the rock itself. One wall was nothing but the mountain. The roof was rough-cut timber and metal that Homer had salvaged from saltine cracker tins, while the floor was nothing but earth that had been packed hard by his boots. As the years passed, the mountaineer needed little from the world below. He raised all his own vegetables, corn, beans, and cabbage. He butchered all his own meat and then salted it and smoked what he couldn't eat fresh. The forest became his pantry, and the plants of the mountain became his pharmacy. He knew which roots eased pain and which leaves cooled fever, and more importantly, which blossoms could keep a starving man alive. Twice a year, Homer would make the 10-mile journey down the mountain on foot. It was a full day's descent over the steep ground and another full day climbing back up. He carried with him tobacco that he had grown, along with bundles of dried catnip and wood carvings that he had shaped by his own hands. And on his return, he would carry 50-pound bags of sugar and coffee on his back all the way up the mountain. He even traded his crops for hunting dogs, chickens, goats, and sheep, everything he needed to be self-sufficient. Homer watched from his paradise on top of the mountain as the decades came and went. The 1940s, when the world went to war. The rise of the automobile during the 50s. Presidents came and went, along with wars during the 60s and the 70s. But Homer remained on Redrock Mountain. Each night, the grizzled man looked down at the valley below with its twinkling city lights, so far away that it might as well have been the stars in the sky. And he felt sorry for all those folks who had sold their independence in exchange for a life of paying bills. By 1970, Homer had a herd of 150 sheep, a team of faithful dogs, and a collection of farm animals. He had disappeared from the outside world completely, but this would all change in 1975 when a New York man and his dog embarked on an epic adventure walking across the entire Appalachian mountain range. And one morning, as Homer was fishing at a creek near his home, he found himself face to face with this stranger and his dog. At first, Homer was reluctant to speak to the uninvited guest, and he promptly directed him to get off his property. But after a few minutes, Homer realized that this man wasn't a threat. So he invited him to his home, where he fed him and gave the stranger a place to sleep for the next few days. Unbeknownst to Homer, this act of hospitality would result in the entire world learning who Homer Davenport was, because in April of 1977, the story of the stranger's walk across the mountains was sold to National Geographic, where they published a featured story on the mountain man Homer Davenport. And just like that, folks all over the world knew exactly who he was. Thus began a long series of reporters and curiosity seekers who made hundreds of pilgrimages up Redrock Mountain for a glimpse of Homer, who was now being splashed across newspapers across America as the last mountain man.
Homer Davenport, 1910 born, on Clinch Mountain, battered and worn. was 6 years old, left him in a cabin hard and cold. Had 19 years, a pistol rolled, shot in the gut, but he fired once more. 18 months behind steel bars tight, where a mountain hawk couldn't take to flight. He was born wild, and he stayed that way, like the wind on Redrock. He wouldn't obey. You can lock a man, but you can't lock the sky, and you can't cage a mountain, no matter how you try. They called him crazy, but he stood tall. The last free mountain man of all. 1931, when the gate swung wide, depression rolled like a bitter tide. Banks fell down and farms went dry. Lynn sold freedom just to get by. But Homer climbed where the wild things roam, found him a spring and built his home. 3 rough walls and a dirt packed floor, 10 from cracker cans nailed to the door. He was born wild, and he died that way, like the wind on Redrock. He wouldn't sway. You can lock a man, but you can't lock the sky, and you can't cage a mountain, no matter how you try. 91 years, and he held that wall till the Lord called home the last of them all. They call him crazy, but history will recall.
Astonishingly, Homer Davenport lived on Redrock Mountain for decades, surviving on little more than his determination and skills that he acquired over the course of his life. It was said that even in his 70s, that Homer could carry 2 50-pound sacks of seed and sugar on his back up the 10-mile journey to the top of the mountain. But alas, Father Time waits for no one. And by the time Homer was late in his 80s, his health began to fail, and visitors to his cabin finally convinced him to seek medical attention. And in 2003, at 91 years old, Homer Davenport finally passed away, marking the end of an incredible life. So there you go, my friend. Now you know the rest of the story of a mountain man who lived without water or electricity or modern conveniences and provided all his own food for over 50 years. What about you, my friend? In a world of bills and deadlines and constant noise that we all live in, have you ever wanted to just walk away from it all? Could you live like Homer did? Was Homer Davenport a crazy old man, or was he truly free? I look forward to reading your comments below. Thanks so much for watching this episode, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe for more true stories from Appalachia's past.